I'm Adam, and people used to say my dad was too kind. He was too trusting, and that's how he lost everything in life. Those people were right. My dad made friends with everyone. He welcomed strangers into his home. He hired people who didn't deserve the opportunity, and they took everything from him. Even our own relatives descended like vultures. When Dad got sick, they persuaded him to hand our farm over to them. His best friends told him they'd run the gold mine he owned when he became too sick to get out of bed. They promised him they would take care of me and my mom, but none of them did. They took what was ours and ran away with it. And even though we were once millionaires, all of that disappeared. Mom and I were left with nothing. Dad did everything to help other people that he forgot to help us. I promised myself I would never be like him. I would never fall for scams so easily. But as I grew up, I realized that slowly, but very surely, I was turning into him. At school, I let people copy my exams just so they'd treat me nice. To make friends, I would do whatever they asked me to, going as far as doing their homework for them. I just wanted to fit in, and it was already hard to do as the kid who suddenly went from hero to zero, especially when my cousin was also there. His dad was the one who took our farm from us, and Rick lorded it over me at school. He was untouchable, too, because his mom was a teacher there, and she was very influential. I heard that she was the reason Katie McCormick, one of the most infamous seniors, had been held back 4 times already. At least I had Corey and Jen. They were my best friends from way back, and Jen and I started dating when my dad got sick. She and Corey were my support. But things changed one day. Jen and Corey's parents fell on hard times, and they had to start working with Rick's dad at the farm. Suddenly, Corey began hanging out with us less. I caught him talking to Rick, and it felt suspicious. What were you talking to him for? Nothing. He just asked if he could copy my notes for biology. But why you? I don't know. Ask him. Something was definitely up. So that afternoon, I followed him, and what I saw felt like a sucker punch in the gut. Corey was hanging out with Rick and his crew. And what's worse was that my girlfriend was there too, and she was flirting with my cousin. Why were you dating that loser anyway, when you can have me? Haha, you're too fast. But I'm not gonna ask you to slow down. Can we not talk about your cousin, though? I only started dating him because he was, pitiful, with what happened to his dad. But now I'm stuck and I don't know how to ditch him. I felt like I was gonna be sick. I heaved and made an ungodly sound. And suddenly, everyone's eyes were on me. What the? Did you follow me here? Ew, I was right. You are a loser. I guess you can ditch him now. Rick pushed me and told me I was trespassing. He even told me he'd call the cops if I didn't get off their lawn. To get me further away from Jen and Corey, Rick used his mom against me. Rick spread a rumor that his mom was having an affair with Coach Dirk, and then he spray-painted his mom's own car with the word thief. And the number he used to spread those rumors? Mine. He took the pics of his mom's car and hid them in my gallery. Some girl asked if she could borrow my phone to call her parents, and I believed her. I had no idea it was Rick's ploy. When my aunt found out, she dragged me to the dean's office and they searched my phone. I knew I was done for, because sure enough, they found photos of someone vandalizing my aunt's car, and they concluded I did it. My scholarship was revoked, and because my mom couldn't afford to send me to a school, I had to go to a community college and start working. I found a job at a gas station. It paid in peanuts, but at least my boss was a decent human being. He was always kind to me. He would even let me keep and take home the burgers and hot dogs that we didn't sell for the day. He knew my mom was struggling. Sometimes I'd sit outside waiting for Mom to pick me up, and I'd feed the local magpies with bits of bread and the sunflower seeds I used to bring with me every day. Those birds felt like the only friends I had in the world. It was a small town, so it was inevitable that my cousin would eventually gas up where I worked. That day, he rolled down the windows of his G-Wagon and sneered at me. "Ha, so you're vitally where you belong, serving me. Fill it up. Don't you dare leave a single fingerprint on my car, or I'll make you wash it." Someone leaned in from the passenger's seat, and my heart jumped out of my chest. It was my ex, and she looked more beautiful than ever. She kissed Rick just to taunt me. "Stop talking to losers, Rick. He's not at your level." I did as Rick asked. When I saw that a magpie was about to fly into his car to grab the shiny ring on Jen's finger, I said nothing. When they started panicking and screaming, I did nothing. When Rick yelled at me to help him unlock his car because the door was stuck, I shrugged my shoulders. "You said not to touch your car." I got fired. My boss didn't want to, but Rick called his dad, and his dad pressured my boss to do it. Before he said goodbye, he gave me something. "It's the only valuable thing I really own, apart from this gas station. I can't very well give you my source of income, but anyway, those numbers are lucky. Any day now." I held on to his lottery numbers, even though I didn't really believe in luck. But I played them, and the very next day, I won. And on the same day, something weird happened. Rick and his family went bankrupt. His dad got caught fudging with his taxes, and the IRS raided their farm and took everything. Even Rick's beloved G-Wagon. My mom was overjoyed with the news. Our lives changed overnight. I gave half to my old boss. They were his numbers after all. I shared a bit with our neighbors who were struggling like we used to. Suddenly, there were girls who used to ignore me coming to visit. It may have gotten to my head because I started spreading the money around, giving it freely just to gain their affection. I bought my mom a proper house. Some relatives heard of our good fortune and came to ask for help. I couldn't say no. "It's not a gift, it's a loan. I promise, I'll pay you back." "I always said you rightfully own that farm, and yet my brother took it away from you." We opposed him, but he tricked us all. A week later, my uncle and Rick came running to us. "Can we put the past behind us? Let's move on. You know, I never meant to hurt your mom and you. I told your dad I would take care of you both, and now I can do that. My wife divorced me because of what happened. Maybe I can be your new dad." I threw them right out of the house. But the line of relatives looking for a handout grew longer by the day. I helped them all, and gave to charity too. By the end of the day, I had nothing for myself. And the girls who wanted me all disappeared again when they learned that I'd run out of money. The maintenance alone of Mom's new mansion was enough to bankrupt us again. I knocked on my relatives' doors, asking them if they could pay back their loans, but they all pretended not to be home, and eventually the banks repoed the house. They also took away the car I bought. We ended up moving back to the same neighborhood where we once lived, and Rick and his dad gloated on the fact that my sudden rise in fortune was cut short. But a miracle happened. All our neighbors came to welcome Mom and I back home. And just like we helped them, they helped us. They all pulled together what money they could spare, and they gave it to us. That was when I vowed that I would never again be too kind. I was going to take back what was mine, and I was going to be ruthless about it. I started selling street food with the money our neighbors gave us. My stall became quite popular, and we got hired for weddings and events. Mom and I worked day and night. We lost a lot of sleep, but each day we had more money in the bank than the last. My old boss retired, and I inherited the gas station. "You didn't have to give me half of your lottery winnings, but at least take this place and make something of it. I owe that much to you." Mom and I converted half of it into a restaurant, and we started selling our food there. It was an instant hit. Our relatives started hitting us up again for jobs at our new business, and I turned them all away. "Remember that money you owe me? Pay that back in full, with interest, and then maybe I'll look at your resume." One day, my cousin rocked up to the new gas station. This time, he was driving a beat-up Corolla, but he acted as if he was driving a sports car. "Well, well, how the mighty have fallen. Look at you, back to where you belong, working at a gas station." I was busy moving boxes of new merchandise, and he must have thought I was simply a worker. Jen stuck her head out of the car's window and sneered. "That loser sure is working hard. Why don't you give him a tip? He looks like he needs it." "I think you're the one who needs a tip, Jen. Here it is. Get a real job and stop mooching off of people." The guy you're dating doesn't have enough money as it is. I didn't notice that I hadn't put down the boxes I was carrying, so one of my employees stepped out. Need a hand there, boss? Boss? Yep, I own the place, and soon I'll own half the businesses in this town. Jerry, will you fetch my car? I have a farm to buy. The garage opened up to reveal a Ferrari, and Rick and Jen's jaws dropped. My driver was the most gorgeous woman in town. My driver drove us out of there, on our way to take back the farm and the mine that they took from us. I drove out Rick's family. I used the farm to feed the poor in our town, and I stopped the mine's operations. I made it a habitat for nature, and I gave the homeless people jobs there. That year, the mayor gave me the keys to the city, and I tied the knot with my gorgeous driver.